So I feel like we're getting to the heart of the thesis of the 40 portal, which is like, this isn't the only question that I'm exploring here, but like the thesis is really that this portal of 40, which feels so real, and I don't know if you feel it yet. I started feeling it like right when I turned 39, but probably the whisperings of it came earlier. But just this tremendous recognition that like this can be an amazingly powerful and defining decade wherein we take all the things you're talking about and more, because there's other shit, and like refuse to disappear and to own the particular power. Because I do believe that like a woman in her 40s and therefore her 50s, her 60s, her 70s, her 80s, or whatever, is like one of the most potent, powerful, wise, creative, strong, and experienced, and therefore terrifying creatures in the universe. And I think that like this is the moment this is the hero's journey, right, to heroine's journey, to stand in front of that and be like, no, this is I'm going to walk through it this way and claim that instead of shirking back. And I'll tell you what I'm reading in the 40 portal submissions, because this all started the night before my 40th birthday. You were at the party. I brought this notebook and I asked the women who were under 40 to write their questions down. What are they scared of? What are their fears? What are their desires? What are their longings? What are the questions they are living? And I asked the women over 40 to tell us what they know, to share their wisdom, what they have learned and earned and burned. And I have to tell you, Amber, a lot of the women who were under 40 were writing questions to this effect. What does it mean to lose your privilege of youth? What does it mean to lose your privilege of being attractive or desirable or pretty or whatever it is? And I can't even tell you that like most of the women over 40 were not talking about that at all. It was as though it doesn't even fucking register to them because they've moved on to this much more powerful plane. And it's not that it didn't come up, it's more nuanced than that. But I will just say overall, like the data is showing that is such a concern before we turn 40. And then you talk to women in their 50s and 60s and they're like, fuck all that. Here's what I know. It's wild to me. And that's also why I think that this is like the thesis is to like share that intergenerational knowing and question, to be in conversation with each other.
Yeah. I mean, going back to like the patriarchy brainwashing of it all, right? Like there is power in this cohort, in women of a certain age. And like, I think that is scary and has always been scary to the powers that be. Like, if we look back, like my thing is I love to study history because I think there's like an understanding of like how we got here, if we can understand like where we've been and where we've come from. And the reality is human beings used to live mainly in matriarchal societies. People think like the way we live now is the way it has always been, and that's not true. To the point that even like it's really fascinating, like in the United States, our system of government, right, the three branches of government was based on a New York State indigenous tribe structure of governing. But what was different is they had a fourth pillar of government, which was the matriarchs, the grandmothers. And basically everything went through them. Yes, there was an executive, there was a leader, there was a senate, essentially a group of leaders. There was the judiciary, people who were deciding what was right and wrong. And then all of that was filtered through a council of grandmothers. And if from my perspective, what we are missing in our current society, in our current culture, in our current climate of making laws and making the way the world works is elderly women with a lifetime of experience of creating life and sustaining life and nurturing themselves and coming to the world from that perspective. And so I do think there is a insidious cultural thing that wants to keep us focused on what we're losing versus what we're gaining, because that keeps us from stepping into that power.